Powerful stories that change the way you think. Impactful investigations that change the way you see.
How many times has your car been stolen?
5 times.
Yeah. What? Do you think that you're a responsible owner of tigers?
I damn sure do.
Heartwarming moments that change the way you feel.
I feel amazing.
Now available in a place that changes the way you watch TV. Inside Edition, streaming.
Shocking? Those are the stories we love at Inside Edition. Check out this one.
Is this the meanest judge in America?
Sir, I'm doing something. Can you shut up and sit down?
Judge Wayne Culver shocked everyone with his behavior inside his courtroom in Sanford, Florida.
That's not shutting up. You want to be held to contempt and go to jail?
Then Judge Culver really loses his temper.
I asked you a question.
Kevin Newton was on the receiving end. Kevin says that he was charged with petty theft and arrived late for his court appearance. He says he was just looking for a place to sit. You can see him looking around. And that is when Judge Culver lashed out at him.
Did you feel like you were being bullied by the judge?
Oh, yes, absolutely.
But it was Judge Culver who ended up on the receiving end of some harsh discipline. A state commission recommended he be suspended for 60 days and undergo anger management classes. The judge had blamed personal problems at home for his tirade.
The judge says, hey, he was taking care of his elderly father who was very sick. He was stressed out. Is that an excuse?
That is not an excuse. If that's the case, he needs to decompress somewhere before he comes to work.
Can you shut up and sit down?
These are reasons these weddings never happened. From 2015, this was Kylie Minogue happily posing in her wedding dress, surrounded by her bridesmaids. But she never walked down the aisle. Diane McInerney has more.
Just a week before her wedding day, her longtime fiancé called it off. And get this, she says he told her via text. Naturally, Kylie was devastated.
At first I was in shock. I really didn't know, what to do. It was definitely heartbreaking. It was definitely devastating that, that he didn't want to marry me.
The only thing left to do was to destroy the dress. She and her bridesmaids poured colored powder all over the gown.
It was a wonderful, liberating experience. It was a lot of fun. I felt free.
In 2015, Colby Sanders called off her own wedding 5 days before the big day. The $3,500 venue in Tyler, Texas was already booked and paid for.
When I decided to cancel the wedding, I decided to donate my wedding venue. This is a live drawing for my wedding venue. Okay, this is who won. I don't know if this is backwards or not, but Haley Hipsher. Her name stood out to me the most because not only did she send me her love story, but I had other people send me her love story. So obviously others were advocating for this to happen for her.
Haley Hipsher's grandfather didn't have long to live because he had stage 4 pancreatic cancer. She wanted to move up her wedding day so he could be present.
Oh my God, hi. Hey. Well, thank you. You're welcome. It means
Colby was by Haley's side the entire afternoon as she got ready.
You look amazing. Thank you.
Her grandfather also made the ceremony. The newlyweds danced the night away, cut the cake, and celebrated the ultimate wedding gift, thanks to a kind stranger.
I can't thank you enough.
In 2014, Ginger Alden, Elvis Presley's last love, spoke with Inside Edition about her memoir about their time together.
I wrote down all of my memories. Shortly after Elvis passed away, it was just my way of holding on. I wanted to hold on and not forget. And time went on. I went forward with my life. I worked, I got married, had my son. And in the course of all this, a lot of untruths were being said regarding mine and Elvis's relationship, a lot of exaggerations. Well, just that Elvis was unhappy or we argued a lot, things like that, which was not true. And so I wanted to set the record straight, and I waited until my son, who just turned 20 this past August 20th, went off to college. And I sat down, and it took me about 2 years, and I put together all of my memoirs. And finally I had my book. He was never bored, he didn't act down. We laughed, we watched television, he played the organ in his room. Sometimes we went out, we rode three-wheelers. He had these great fun three-wheelers. We went motorcycle riding. I miss that we didn't get to see where he was going to go and you know, hear more of his music, and you know, he had a lot left to do.
Everything just kind of like shut off. I gave up. Like I was like, no, there's no point to anything. Like I'm done, if that makes sense. I'm just done.
From 2024, Caitlyn Palmieri was forced to put her life back together after learning her ex-fiance wasn't who she thought he was.
So we met on a dating app. I was living in Astoria in Queens and he was living in Manhattan. He proposed December 2019.
All right.
And the night before was our rehearsal dinner. It was just like such a great night. It was just, you know, a very happy occasion. Everyone was like really great state of mind. I was very grateful to have that memory. We weren't staying in the same room the night before the wedding. And I woke up to the hotel phone ringing. It was my mom. But I just was kind of like, what time is it? Like, you know, where's with my hair appointment? Like, am I late? And I just remember her saying, like, you have to come down to the lobby. Just something was up, did not sound right. I was just like, why? And she was like, just please come down to the lobby. And I was like, what is going on? She's like, you just need to come down. And I was like, absolutely not until you tell me what's going on. I just knew something was wrong and I know my mom well enough. And then I just said, I'm not doing anything until you tell me what's going on. And she said, Eric died in the middle of the night. And I literally can explain it as like floating outside my body. Like I watch it like a movie. And I tell my friend, they can't process it. I think I'm like on the ground. And like the next few things are just kind of snapshots. And I am my parents and my sister and my best friend who, you know, obviously in the wedding party, they're at my door. And I'm just looking at my sister, kind of like, explain it to me, you know? I just like broke down, and the next few days continue in quite a blur. I have certain memories that stand out to me. But yeah, that was the morning of the wedding.
Eric died of a heart attack. He was 33 years old.
It's like I gave up. Like I was like, there's no point to anything. Like I'm done. It took all of the wind out of me. I could barely be on my feet for very long. I mean, it was like I had no control over my physical being. I was sick, obviously, so sick to my stomach. I couldn't, if I wasn't crying, I was sleeping, or I was in some kind of like shock of some sort. Sometimes I would just have to like get up and walk to do something with my body, but it was like a shell of myself. Like I was so deflated. I was so deflated.
Social media helped her connect with others grieving.
It's such an incredible community, you know, of people who go through horrific things and like survive them and are honest about it. And the second that I was like, it was a relief. Like I needed that.
But it also led her to a shocking revelation.
November 2020 was his birthday. I'm like, oh, I want to go on Instagram. I want to post something about his birthday. And the first thing I see was just like a post, and it was a picture of a conversation of two people. And one was like one person saying happy birthday to, and it was his last name. And then the response was like hearts. Just something is not computing, because I'm like, is that a coincidence? This is happening really quickly in my brain. And the dedication is about spending his last birthday together, and how it was this great night. And I'm like, just so confused. So I reach out to her and I'm like, I'm just confused. Like, did you know Eric? Like, what was your relationship with him? And then she told me.
Her fiance was having an affair throughout their relationship.
My body went numb. My body definitely went numb. My everything was like on fire. And I just was like, just send me everything you have if you have any like proof. I met an angry side of me that I had never met before. So, I'm not totally proud of all the ways that I responded. I'm sure there are much stronger people out there that would have handled this with much more grace, but I am not one of those people. I'm broken. I'm broken. I'm done. And when that happened, there was like a voice inside me who was like, F that. I'm not wasting one more minute on this man in this way. I am not going to turn this on me.
After Caitlyn learned of Eric's secret life, she stopped grieving his loss.
I've gone back and looked at things I wrote, about him and just how in love I was. It's hard to even access that now. It's really hard to access those feelings for him now. I have zero feelings for him. That's just reality. I see him for what he was, and that is who he was. It's just cruel. What it's done, what I will say, weirdly, that blessing came from it felt like everything else in my life brightened. He went dark, and so it gave light to everything else. So I immediately felt so grateful for the love I have in my life. I am going to be happy. I'm done, because it's my only revenge that I can have, and hopefully help other people.
You've never seen a roommate war like this by releasing a tarantula.
Get out of here! Did you even pay rent? A deer somehow got into a New Jersey apartment building and decided to squat. First responders were called to evict the animal. See ya!
It's estimated nearly 90% of U.S. homes use air conditioning, and with the current heat wave, there's a good chance yours is on full blast. There is nothing worse than when your AC breaks down in the summer, but can you trust the repairman you hire? Lisa Guerrero has our hidden camera investigation.
In this intense summer heat,
from the west all the way into the southeast,
most of us have our air conditioners on full blast. But if you have a problem with your air conditioner in this record heat, can you always trust the repair technician that comes knocking at your door?
How are you? Come on in.
To find out, we rented this home in New Jersey. Then we had Michael Irapino with Edison Heating and Cooling and Michael Bluin with Petrie Heating and Cooling examine the home's AC unit inside and out. Together, they have over 70 years of experience in the heating and cooling business.
So far, the unit's great. It's fairly new. Everything checks out.
Everything's operating normally. Unit's cooling. It's condensing. I'd say there's no issues with this unit whatsoever.
Next, we had them create a simple problem where none previously existed.
So all I did was I just disconnected the low voltage circuit. So when the thermostat calls for air conditioning now, the outside unit won't come on.
To fix it, they say all you have to do is simply reattach these contact wires, and the unit will power right back on.
A technician should recognize this within 5 minutes. Very simple fix.
Even a novice HVAC technician could figure that out within 5 minutes.
Then we rigged the home with hidden cameras and booked appointments with 4 AC companies in the area.
This one is downstairs.
From this control room in the garage, we could monitor the repairman's every move. One by one they came, they saw, they fixed. And guess what? Yep, we are pleased to report that 3 of the techs zeroed in on our disconnected wires and made the simple fix.
System's back running. There was a loose wire in the condenser. So that's why it wasn't coming out cold.
A loose wire?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
This tech only charged us $150. We wanted to congratulate him on a job well done.
I'm Lisa Guerrero with Inside Edition. We just wanted to say thank you for doing a thorough job, a thorough inspection, and you passed our air conditioning tech test.
Thank you very much.
But unfortunately, there was one in the bunch who spoiled a perfect record. This technician from a company called Gold Medal Service examined the unit, and when he returned, he had some bad news.
It's not cooling efficiently, and you're losing it. Okay, so there's a leak in the system.
Okay, so there's a leak in the refrigerant.
Yes, it's a microscopic leak.
He's trying to tell me there's a microscopic leak somewhere. Is that true?
No, it's not. It's not true.
His price to fix that non-existent leak?
We're looking at about $1,736.
$1,736? That's really expensive.
Time to reveal who I really am.
So Thor, I'm not really the homeowner. I'm Lisa Guerrero with Inside Edition. And we know that that air conditioning unit does not need all the repairs that you just told me it needed. All you needed to do was to connect 2 wires that weren't connected. Were you trying to upsell me?
He packed up his gear and drove off. He took off in such a hurry, he left this tool bag behind.
I'm happy to say that 3 of the 4 companies nailed it. They found it right away. We only had one bad apple of the bunch.
Finding the right roommate is not always easy, but sometimes knowing when you've got the wrong roommate, it's very easy. 2 women renting space in a house knew right away they weren't going to be best friends. Then this roommate threw a live tarantula at the other woman. And as Jim Ray reports, she says she got the idea from, well, you know what movie.
You've never seen a roommate war like this. She's trying to drive out her roommate by releasing a tarantula.
The tarantula is down there that I just bought.
The roommate starts clanging her pots and pans together.
Thank you, Jesus! Hallelujah!
Downstairs, the beleaguered roommate who's the target of all this calls 911.
They're blasting music and acting very erratic.
As loud music plays, a deluge of what looks like gambling chips is tossed down the stairs.
I think the situation spiraled 100%.
30-year-old Marissa Simonetti is the roommate who let loose that tarantula. She says it was a last-ditch attempt at getting her roommate to leave.
The tape looks crazy. You're smashing pots and pans and throw a tarantula toward her room.
Yeah, I thought she needs to think that I'm crazy, so she gets out of the house. And I was like, I'm going to put on a good show. And I sure did.
You wanted her to think you were crazy.
Yes.
So where did she get the idea of the tarantula?
It's from the Home Alone movie. We've all seen Home Alone. I was inspired by Kevin McAllister.
Simonetti is a single mom of a 6-year-old son. And get this, she's actually running for public office as county commissioner in Edina, Minnesota.
You're running for an office as a lawmaker, and it doesn't sound like you're obeying the law.
You know, I can appreciate that perspective. I'm sorry I did it. I'm sorry it escalated. I was scared and I had no one there for me and I didn't know what to do.
Simonetti has been charged with misdemeanor assault. Meanwhile, the roommate has had enough and moved out. She had reportedly complained about insects in the house. But now, Simonetti has a new problem. The tarantula is still somewhere in the house.
I've been scared to go down in the basement.
You're the one who threw the tarantula.
I'm scared of spiders.
The tarantula is down there that I just bought.
Nightmare at sea. Those 2 specks are a husband and wife stranded in the open ocean. Kim and Nathan Maker were on a diving tour off the coast of Texas when choppy water left them lost at sea, fighting for their lives for 39 hours. There's the couple minutes before their dive. The trouble started after a fellow diver, seen wearing pink gloves, struggled to grab onto the yellow dive line that leads directly to the boat. Nathan swims over to help, and that diver makes it out of the water. There she is, safely back on the boat.
That was scary. Somebody grabbed me and put me back on the line.
But now Nathan and his wife can't reach the yellow dive line. They are stranded.
The waves kept coming and coming and coming.
Today, the married couple is recounting their harrowing account to Inside Edition. You can see Kim, a special education teacher, is nursing a severe sunburn.
Can you explain to people why you have this tan line?
While we were adrift at sea, we both decided to keep our masks on so that when the waves would hit us, it wouldn't get in our eyes.
They say they didn't know if they were going to survive.
Being submerged that long, you get really cold and you're shivering. So we started swimming sprints to try to use the large muscles to warm us up.
This massive storm came through. I think Coast Guard said it was 50-mile-per-hour winds.
They used a small flotation device as they struggled to tread water. Finally, they spotted a Coast Guard plane. That's when Kim started shining a flashlight.
We always dive with dive lights. I tried to shine it as best I could.
Here's the Coast Guard crew who spotted them from the air.
Out of the corner of my eye, I saw a light flashing through the window at us very frantically. They were challenging conditions. It was a very dark night, and it is a miracle that he was able, the right observer here, to be able to see that light.
Yes, he saw us.
Finally, after 39 hours, a Coast Guard boat picked them up.
When I heard the voices of the Coast Guard on that speedboat coming towards us, I started shaking. I started crying.
I really believe those guys were the hands of God. Like, I don't know how to explain it. They were our absolute saviors when they reached out and grabbed us.
There are still so many stories to tell. Stick with the stream for more from Inside Edition.
Powerful stories that change the way you think. Impactful investigations that change the way you see.
How many times has your car been stolen?
5 times. Yeah.
What? Do you think that you're a responsible owner of tigers?
I damn sure do. Heartwarming moments that change the way you feel. I feel amazing. Now available in a place that changes the way you watch TV. Inside Edition, streaming.
Hello and welcome to Inside Edition Can't Miss, featuring stories you just have to see.
These teens put up with tough situations while working. In 2016, teen Justine Elwood was fat-shamed in, of all places, an ice cream parlor. She was working at a Cold Stone Creamery in Layton, Utah when she overheard a customer.
Her kids were sampling a lot of the flavors that we have, and she kind of pulled them aside and was like, with all those samples you're having, you're going to end up as big as her. And then she kind of pointed to me.
The customer then went on Yelp and wrote this review. One of their female employees, Jessie Jennifer J. something, is disgustingly obese. And although she is very polite, instantly makes my appetite disappear. I don't like my children thinking they will look that way by eating too much ice cream.
I'm human, that kind of stuff. It does hurt to hear that kind of stuff about yourself. It crushed her.
Justine's mom, Daphne, went to Facebook and asked everyone to track down the mystery woman. Please, if you know of a woman with children that goes by the name Elaine, last name starts with an S, please let me know and share so we can stop this bullying.
How could somebody, write that to a young girl and expect no consequences? So I was really upset. It really was just kind of shocking because it's, you don't expect that from a parent.
Talk about a special delivery. The challenge was to dash to the mailbox and race back to the boat before it pulled away. In 2019, these high school seniors tried out as mail jumpers on Wisconsin's Lake Geneva. Safety was a priority as each person was required to wear a life vest.
Worst case scenario, you fall in the lake.
The boat slowed down but never stopped, so they had to be quick.
I thought about jumping, but I knew I'd fall in, so.
Timing is everything, and oh boy, that was close.
I am nervous.
This girl hit the deck hard.
You got No, let's see!
Afterward, she had a little bruise, but was A-okay.
Fall, you get back up.
They got the job.
Yay!
In 2023, all hell broke loose inside a music school in Chicago. 15-year-old intern Rylan Walder was cleaning up. Suddenly, everyone's attention turned to the door as police sirens blared. Then, out of nowhere, an armed suspect fleeing police ran into the school. A police officer right behind him opened fire, but his aim was off and Rylan was shot.
That's where the bullet went in, and then this right here is where the bullet came out.
When my husband called me and said that, that Rylan had been shot and that he was in an ambulance, I thought my child was going to die in that moment.
Les Trent has more.
Ryland survived being shot, but his injuries were so grievous, he wondered if his dream of one day playing guitar professionally were dashed forever.
18 operations later, Ryland had to learn to play guitar a whole new way. His family's lawsuit against the Des Plaines Police Department claimed reckless and excessive behavior. The department settled for $1.9 million.
I've watched the video of the officer going into the school, following the criminal who I had seen run past my son, and just start shooting.
In a statement, the police say the settlement does not reflect the heroic actions the officer took that day, putting his life at risk to save others. In 2017, a teenager sprang into action to perform CPR on a child who wasn't breathing. Kayla Eads worked at a fast food restaurant in Tennessee. A customer who had just received her order was about to drive away when she realized her little boy wasn't breathing. The woman ran back to the restaurant and Eads rushed to help. She had taken a CPR class at her high school and immediately started performing chest compressions on the boy. She got him breathing by the time the fire department came to take him to the hospital. Afterward, she was hailed a hero.
Man, please don't act like that. You're a grown woman. You're a grown woman. I'm 17. Get out of here. Don't come back. Don't come back. We don't need your business.
In June of 2024, Kaylee and Victoria, employees at Kiki Snowballs in Willis, Texas, showed perfectly how to handle an angry customer at work.
Pretty much, I go to the window and I'm ready to take this woman's order. And I open the window and she already looks upset. So I'm like, hello, what can I do for you? She tells me that there's been a mishap with her order.
The customer says her daughter didn't get an order she paid for.
I need my $6 back.
Did she put in her...
Huh?
Did she put in the number?
I came up here by myself, and I paid for a snow cone plus $6 extra. So when she wanted a snow cone, she could come up here and get it. When my daughter came up here and said, my name's y'all didn't give her the snow cone.
I'm just listening in the back, and eventually, I can hear she's angry the whole time. So I was like, clearly she just wants to have a problem or start something, and I'm not about that. So I was just like, okay, let me just go give her $6 and we can move on, move past this. It was $6. And then the sign fell over, so I opened the window again to pick the sign up. That's when she comes by and slaps the sign out of my hand and calls me, you can see in the video, but she called me. So I just told her, you're a grown woman. There's no reason to be acting like that.
Man, please don't act like that. You're a grown woman. You're a grown woman. I'm 17. Get out of here. Don't come back. Don't come back. We don't need your business.
The owner, Kyle, was proud of how they handled the situation.
The lady came up just already ready to you could just tell immediately she was not looking to handle this in an appropriate way. She just kept her cool and did that. So no, I think that was so good for sure.
Kyle hoped the video serves as a reminder.
To remind us all, really, that as adults, specifically working with teenagers, that problems will happen. Through the shift change, we dropped the ball. So mistakes happen, right? But for you to go up and act like that as an adult, my whole point of uploading that video was to simply remind us all that we've got to treat people better. That our reputation has always been we're going to take care of it, we're going to make sure everything's good, and she just didn't give us that opportunity.
In 2022, Inside Edition spoke to teens making good pay working summer jobs.
I'm going to pass it to you.
16-year-old Gabe Heller made $75 an hour coaching soccer.
Compared to a lot of the other jobs that I was looking at, this is definitely way over minimum wage.
Pay is definitely going up because of inflation and because of the fact that there's an ongoing labor shortage, and a lot of companies are turning to these younger teen workers to kind of help fill that labor gap.
So you're going to start with the ball in your hand.
16-year-old Anjali Boudron also earned great money, which helped save up for college.
I'm definitely making a lot more money than a normal summer job I used to work.
She taught tennis for $70 an hour.
Your parents are out, so what do you want to do?
And babysat for $25 an hour. Gabe Jaffe was a 16-year-old CEO of a company called Teen Hampton, which helps teens find jobs.
I've had people that have made over $1,000 in a week.
The opportunities are certainly there. Companies are looking for you, and you have the opportunity to go in and ask for a bit more money and flexibility.
These kids got trapped in tight spaces. In 2019, 5-year-old Nicholas Waynes climbed into a cooler and got trapped inside.
So we just returned from a day on the boat. We left the cooler outside to dry, and my wife and I were inside putting things away.
As it's playing tricks.
The trick backfired when Nicholas hit the latch, shutting the airtight lid.
We heard this muffled scream, and we had no idea where it was coming from. We ran outside. I'm looking over behind the barbecue, I'm looking around the pool, I'm looking around the couches, and then we're standing here and you still hear it. Rob opens the cooler, I grab Nicholas, he's just terrified and he just grabs onto me so tight, and it was just really traumatizing for all of us.
When it got locked, I was scared. Like I got locked in there forever.
When he lowered the cooler, it was sitting on top like this. His little fingers pushed the latch out. Now the cooler is locked. We hope that there are some changes to the latches on the coolers.
Never do that again.
In 2020, this mom had the shock of her life when her toddler alerted her that something was wrong with his brother.
My toddler came in, ran up to me and said, "Baby in." And I said, "Baby in where?" And at that point, I was in a panic.
Sadie Reedy had stepped away from her 2 sons to wash dishes.
My oldest son proceeded to point to the vent. It took me like 10 seconds to realize this awful thing is happening to me. There's no way my baby's in a vent.
10-month-old Colson fell 8 feet down the vent after the 3-year-old had pulled off the grate.
Police and fire dispatch. I have a caller. She is reporting that her 10-month-old baby is stuck in a vent.
Hang on, baby!
The baby was too far down the vent, so rescuers used a crawl space.
And here it is, the tiniest of crawl spaces.
An officer crawled in and pushed the baby back up the vent. Colson was dirty and looked confused, but was uninjured.
Do you remember me? Do you remember Mike? Huh?
Afterward, Mom screwed down the grate. In 2023, this 2-year-old also got stuck in an air vent.
I'm like, oh my word, her body has gotten cut in half.
Katie Burke put her twins down for a nap. She found McLean's head and arms poking out of the floor. Her sister Waylon was next to her.
Waylon's pointing at her saying, "Stuck, stuck," and McLean's in the vent saying, "Stuck." And so I just lifted her right out. She came right out. Thankfully, no cuts or scrapes or bruises or anything like that.
Also in 2023, firefighters came to the rescue of this kid who got himself in a place he couldn't come back from, at least not on his own. The 3-year-old reportedly stuck his head between the railings of a balcony. His saviors used some scary-sounding tools to free him. Hopefully he learned his lesson. In another incident from 2023, a little girl was saved from a safe. Firefighters cut open the lock to rescue the child, who got stuck inside at a sporting goods store. The Wilmington, North Carolina Fire Department told WYFF-TV that the girl's sister accidentally locked her in. In 2016, a 5-year-old boy got his head stuck in a drain pipe. The kid was attending a wedding with his parents in China when he became fascinated with the pipe. The boy's parents didn't know what happened until they heard him crying. Firefighters were called in to help get the boy's head out.
A suspect is in the hospital after police in Connecticut say he stole a police cruiser.
Dad is off to work, but his little boy won't let him go. Look how tight he's hanging on. A boy and his dad. Nothing beats that.
This wood is only safe for one person at a time, and only right here.
After living in her Tennessee home for 20 years, Amanda Blunt noticed cracks in the walls. She told WTVF that she started running experiments.
I put a couple of marbles and balls on the floor, and they were all going to like this black hole area. Like they were all centered there. And I'm like, this isn't good.
A large sinkhole developed underneath Amanda's home, making the simple task of walking around something you have to concentrate on.
Safe, 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 safe. Corner, not safe.
She says it's been 2 years since her home has had floors.
Excuse all the mess. I'm trying to throw things in different positions. As long as the engineers say that it's safe and there's cracks up there, then we're okay with living here.
The limestone found in much of Tennessee can be prone to sinkholes.
I think it's very important for people to be educated about where they live.
But years before this happened, Amanda bought sinkhole insurance.
They always say that your house and your home and your land is your biggest investment. I would have been bankrupt, like completely bankrupt, if I'd had to fix this myself.
Between drilling pylons into the bedrock and filling in tunnels, the cost to save this house has reached almost $400,000. Because of the forethought to buy insurance, Amanda has only had to pay $4,000 out of pocket. She shares her story in hopes that others will be prepared.
A dog chews on a phone charger. Then all of a sudden it sparks, causing a fire. Watch as the mattress goes up in flames. This fire was caught on a family's home camera in Tulsa, Oklahoma. Firefighters continue to warn about the dangers that these lithium-ion batteries can cause.
Lithium-ion batteries are known for storing a significant amount of energy in a compact space. However, when this energy is released uncontrollably, it can generate heat, produce flammable and toxic gases, and even lead to explosions.
Last year, a family from Cincinnati, Ohio says an iPhone exploded, setting fire overnight while 5 kids were sleeping upstairs.
What do you think started the fire?
I'm assuming the battery was so degraded that it overheated. We had no indication that the battery was degraded. The performance of the phone was working fine.
Firefighters say it's critical to follow manufacturer guidelines when using these batteries and only use approved chargers.
These incidents can occur due to various reasons, such as exposure to extreme heat, physical damage to the battery, overcharging, or even using incompatible charging equipment.
Plus, don't forget to keep them out of reach of children and pets. In this case, the 2 dogs were able to escape through the doggy door.
A man jumps on the hood of a car during a shocking highway rampage, and it gets worse. A few minutes later, the suspect is seen holding a knife as he stands on the side of the road, with blood streaming down his face. It's a scene of sheer terror.
Cops say it all started when the suspect intentionally sideswiped several cars before coming to a stop. He then got out of his car and went on the attack. It all happened just before 7 a.m. on a busy Dallas interstate during rush hour.
In this video, you see a nurse running to the aid of a road worker who had been mowed down by the suspect. Then, shockingly, the suspect, who had jumped into someone else's car, chases the nurse until she's hit and pinned beneath the vehicle. At one point, witnesses say the man jumped on multiple vehicles and even attempted a carjacking.
The person that was driving that vehicle wasn't having it, so, she drives off, that guy rolls onto the ground.
The suspect confronts another man who he ends up stabbing multiple times. The man on the rampage reportedly lost his job as a contractor the day before the chaos. Samir Sethi witnessed it all.
Did it seem like this person was under the influence of something? Like, how are they acting?
He was screaming something about his job. He looked like he may have been on something. I think that level of, aggression and rage is usually, some kind of substance related. It was very early in the morning. And so just for all this to happen.
A suspect is in the hospital after police in Connecticut say he stole a police cruiser with an officer in the passenger seat and crashed into a nearby church. Police in New Haven say Stacy Footman approached the vehicle that was parked outside a police substation while an officer was in the car filling out a report. They say Footman approached the driver's side and yelled at the officer to get out of the car. When the officer went to exit the car to confront the suspect, Footman allegedly jumped in the driver's seat. The officer quickly got back in the car, but Footman put the car in drive and started to accelerate. The officer grabbed the steering wheel and crashed into a church across the street. another officer came and took Footman into custody. Police say the suspect and officer both sustained minor injuries. Footman is still in the hospital, according to police, recovering from the injuries he sustained during the incident. He's charged with larceny in the second degree, kidnapping in the second degree, assault of public safety personnel, criminal trover in the second degree, and interfering with an officer. His bond has been set at $500,000.
This beautiful 15-year-old is now in the fight of her life after a horrific shark attack. The teen from Aspen, Colorado was on a dive trip with her family on Tuesday in the gorgeous waters of Belize when she suffered the gruesome attack. Annabelle Carlson had just completed the dive on a popular tour. Her family says she took off her scuba gear and jumped back into the water for a swim when the shark ferociously tore into her right leg. It was a very aggressive, very traumatic, terror-filled fight for her life. She was able to fight off the attack as best she could, but was critically injured in the fight, a family friend posted. The high school student who ended up losing her leg was airlifted to a local trauma center, then flown back to the U.S. In Annabelle's case, something went terribly wrong. I spoke to wildlife biologist and Shark Week host for Escalated. What would make a shark attack suddenly?
Likely that jumping motion, that jumping back in the water spurred something like the splashing and the thrashing that happens from legs kicking. It was a case of mistaken identity where the shark came up and went, ooh, this might be food, took a bite, and then sure enough, it resulted in a pretty negative instance.
Videos on social media show 15-year-old Annabelle as a fun-loving teen. Incredibly, a friend tells Inside Edition today that she's in great spirits despite her harrowing shark attack. This horrific photo shows two college students passed out after they say they were drugged while on vacation in Mexico.
We're passed out and basically paralyzed.
It was supposed to be a dream getaway, but Zara Hull is still hospitalized 6 days after drinking water at a pool bar in Cancun, which she says left her clinging to life.
We literally took one sip off of the water, and at the same time we hit the bar. Our faces we were down.
Zara, there's no question in your mind you were drugged.
Yep. I felt my body about to just start going into a seizure activity, in a compulsion. And I could not stop. They were back to back.
Zara was rushed to a private hospital, but things took an even worse turn when the hospital demanded thousands of dollars to treat the college student, money she didn't have.
And if we didn't pay it, then they were going to put me out in the street, intubated, and with my catheter in.
The 20-year-old who's studying nursing says she was intubated for no reason and pumped full of drugs. Her boyfriend, Jake Cinder, stuck by her side, watching in horror as he says the hospital milked them for $65,000.
The gut-wrenching feeling was not being able to pay to actually get her out.
Zara's mother was finally able to secure a medevac for her daughter to be flown to a hospital in Dallas. Here she is today, relearning to walk. What are the doctors here in the U.S. saying happened to you?
It's all been speculation. They think, they do think there's been a lot of drugs in my system.
Fortunately, her friend, who also passed out, recovered without going to the hospital.
This was my dream vacation, and it turned into my worst nightmare.
Powerful stories that change the way you think. Impactful investigations that change the way you see.
How many times has your car been stolen?
5 times.
Yeah. What? Do you think that you're a responsible owner of tigers?
I damn sure do.
I love them. Heartwarming moments that change the way you feel.
I feel amazing.
Now available in a place that changes the way you watch TV. Inside Edition, streaming.